ورحمة الله على محبيهم ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من يومنا هذا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتبارك في كتابه الحكيم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى. Respected sisters and brothers, organizers, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah Ta'ala be upon all of you and your near and dear ones. First of all, I wish to apologize for the delay. This was my fault. I know Brother Ahmad took it on himself to announce that he was sorry, but actually the fault lays on my shoulders. The roads were a lot more difficult and challenging than I was myself expecting, and although I left Kitchener with I thought was sufficient time, but nonetheless there were little patches on the drive here that were something that I was not expecting. So please do forgive me, my dear sisters and brothers, for that delay, and may Allah bless you and reward you and give you a great ajr for your patience and for your sabr, inshaAllah. The celebration that we have started now is the month of Rajab, and this is often known as a season of ibadat, a season that we get an opportunity from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to become closer to Him. And the beginning of Rajab is actually the beginning of that special or that blessed season that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has basically opened up for us to not only get closer to Him, but to have our acts of worship, our deeds multiplied numerous times over for doing the same thing. So the deeds that we perform at any other time that we do in the month of Rajab, Sha'ban, and of course culminating with the holy month of Ramadan become a lot more significant and a lot more valuable in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so this is the beginning part of that season that we call the season of Ibadat. And we also have the celebration at the beginning of the birth anniversary of Imam Muhammad ibn Ali Al-Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam, the fifth Imam of the Ahlul Bayt, the great grandson of the Holy Prophet of Islam, whose name Baqir actually means the one who disseminated knowledge, who dissected knowledge, basically did a lot of analysis of knowledge and made it reach to the people at hand. So all these celebrations that we have and the significance of the month of Rajab is something that obviously I can't do in the few minutes that we will have, but I'll try to do as best as I can a little bit of justice to this month, the introduction of the month, and inshallah what we should be able to understand and inshallah try to do during these blessed days and nights of the holy month. There is actually one dua, a supplication that is strongly recommended to be recited after every wajib salat in this month. And it's a very beautiful dua. And again, if those of you who have not seen it or not had it, then I'm sure that the organizers will be able to take it on themselves. I don't want to put responsibility or burden on them. But if anybody needs it, then those of you who have my email or contact, I'll be happy to share it with you. It's a dua that starts out with a very short one. It's not very long. If you can memorize it, that'll be good. But if you keep a paper or something with you, that's fine as well. That you start out by saying, Ya man arjuhu li kulli khayrin wa amanahu sakhata inda kull shar. Ya man الكثير بالقليل يا من يؤتي من سعله يا من يؤتي من لم يسعله ومن لم يعرفه تحننا منه ورحمة آتني بمسألتي إياك جميع خير الدنيا وجميع خير الآخرة واصرف عني بمسألتي إياك جميع شر الدنيا وشر الآخرة فإنه غير منكوس ما أعطيته وزدني من فضلك يا كريم. And then Amir al-Mu'mineen mentions, as soon as you come to this part, you hold your chin. For those of us who have a beard, we were told to hold our beard and move our right finger back and forth. Ya dhal jalali wal ikram, ya dhal na'mai wal jood, ya dhal manni wal tol, harrim shaybati ala nar. We are asking Allah, we are basically the supplication, just to summarize it, we are asking Allah that you have got a lot, we are asking for a little. You give to everybody. You give to those who ask you. You also give to those who do not ask you. I'm not doing a translation. I'm just doing a summation of that supplication. And in the end, we are saying that you are the Almighty, you are the Gracious, you are the one with grandeur. Harrim shaybati ala nar. Protect my face. So that means obviously protect me from the fire of hell. So that means that the month of Rajab is a time that we are given an opportunity by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save ourselves from the fire of hell. Now, when we look at from a practical point of view, one of the things that is an important part of Islam is the fact that it's a very practical religion. And I know that probably from the pulpit or from the podium, I've given examples before about how practical Islam is and how it relates to us in our day-to-day lives. The practicality of Islam is one of the things that has made it so attractive to others, especially to non-Muslims who are researching or are studying various paths of life, faith traditions, and they find certain things in Islam that are very attractive. And one of them is the practical aspects of this faith, of religion of Islam. If you look at, for example, Allah Ta'ala tells us to think about the hungry, to help the hungry, to help the poor, to help the needy. It's one thing to put in theory and tell you and me to do something. And then Islam put a little mechanism in place that made us practically understand what the poor and the hungry go through. What did it do? In the month of Ramadan al-Sharif, it told us to fast in the month. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامِ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Fasting is prescribed for you, as it was prescribed for those before you, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you may acquire piety, O you who believe. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. It's for the believers. Now, what is that? One of the aspects, or one of the things that is important in the month of Ramadan is to fast. And what does the fasting do? Even if you have had iftar the night before, you have had suhoor the morning of, and then during the daytime, what happens? You still feel hungry. You still feel thirsty. And the difference is that you know that you are going to have your iftar as soon as the sun sets, as soon as Maghrib comes. And so even in those few hours that you're going through, you're enduring hunger and thirst, Islam has given us a practical way of understanding the hunger of the hungry. So whether somebody is rich or poor, whether somebody is tall or short, whether somebody is male or female, all those are irrelevant. Doesn't matter where you're from, what country you're from. Islam told us to understand hunger not only from a theoretical point of view, but also from a practical point of view. It gave us hunger in those days of Ramadan so that we understand what hunger is. Then it also taught us to be kind, thoughtful, generous, and understanding of the homeless. Those who don't have homes. I don't know about here in Windsor, if you guys have been driving, do you guys see some people who are homeless, or they have signs that, I'm homeless, I'm hungry, this or that, and there are certain parts of the city that they have tent villages or tent cities. In Kitchener we have them, and many of the other places I've visited, I've seen those areas. And Islam told us to be kind, to be thoughtful, to be helpful to those who are homeless. But then how did Islam practically give us an understanding of what is it to be homeless? If any of you have gone for Hajj or Umrah, and if you haven't, then inshallah one day, if your circumstances allow you, you will inshallah bi'idhnillah go for Hajj or Umrah. Once in a lifetime Hajj is wajib if those who are able to do so, if you have got all the conditions fulfilled. And if you remember in the days, in the Ayyam Fatimiyya, I was talking about how, Hajj also teaches us to be practical and to use the example of Hajj to use the tools of shaitan against shaitan. If you remember that, then inshallah it'll be easier for me to move forward to the next stage in today's discussion. And so basically what it did in the Hajj itself is it told us to go to various places. From Makkah we have to go to Muzdalifah, we go to Mina, we go to Arafat, and we do various ibadats in other places, wearing what is known as ihram. And that ihram, which is very similar in understanding to a burial shroud, to a kafan, is what it's reminding us of, that in that kafan, in that ihram, there's one of the teachers who I had gone to Hajj with. He gave me a very beautiful example. He gave us a very beautiful example. We were sitting in the plains of Arafat. The holy place of Arafat is a place where every prophet from Adam to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, alayhi wasallam, peace be upon them all, every prophet has worshipped on the plains of Arafat, in the place that is known as Arafat. Very blessed place, very holy place, very simple place, nothing there. So in that place, this alim, Sayyid Zishan Haydar, was telling us, he said, do you realize that the ihram that we wear there's no pockets. There's no pocket. And that means that it is telling us, it is very symbolic of what our lives are like and what we sometimes fail to understand. I'll give you my own example. Whenever I'm buying an outfit, I always make sure there's lots of pockets in it. I need to keep my pen here and there. I need to keep my notes. I have my papers. I have my cards. All these things I need. And so I make sure that the shirt I buy, the thobe I buy, the dash that I buy has got ample pockets on the sides, on the front, wherever. Because I need those pockets in order to keep my stuff in there. And when you go for Hajj, you realize that that ihram that you are wearing has no pockets. There's no need for you to have a credit card. There's no need for you to have any money. There's no need for you to have any paper. There's no need for you to have anything. You can take your dua books or whatever. That's different. But if you need water, you get Zamzam water. If you need food, your group leader or whoever you're with, they'll give you food or anything. You really come to an understanding whereby the haqiqah, or the reality of life, shows you and me that there's nothing that you're going to be taking with you. You actually, for those few days, for those 7 or 8 days, you become a homeless person. And that's one of the practicalities of Islam. It teaches you to understand that, we are all travelers in this world. I remember a philosopher was being visited by a group of youngsters. Students were visiting him. And then when they went to his house, they looked around and they said, they saw that there was very little furniture. There was hardly anything there. And they said, "Sir, where's your furniture? Where's your belongings? Where's all your stuff?" So he asks them, this wise man, he asks them, he said, "Where's your stuff? Where's your furniture? Where's your sofa or bedroom suite or set or whatever?" They said, No, sir, you don't understand. We are just travelers. We're just visiting here." He says, "So am I." Very profound meaning there. He says, "So am I." Do you see what that is saying? I hope all of you are able to understand what I'm getting at. There's a very deep meaning to that. And I think those of you who have been used to me visiting here at the Imam Hussain Foundation know that I get the audience involved, right? And if you try to sleep or unnecessarily talk, I will catch you. I can see all of you, so that's the advantage I have. Anyways, let me have one salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, please. So Islam is a very practical way of life, practical religion, and it teaches us in a practical way as well as the theory. And so when we look at something as to what is Islam reminding us of with this advent of the month of Rajab and then eventually Sha'ban, why do we have extra supplications? Why are we told to do a little extra prayer or supplication or fast during the month of Rajab and Sha'ban and do a little extra recitation of the Holy Quran, do a little extra sadaqah, or do a little extra good deeds, whether it's helping each other, whether it's, paying more attention to your salah or being better in school, whatever it is, whatever little bit we do, we are encouraged to do that in the month of Rajab and Sha'ban. Why is that? And there's a realistic example that we see in our day-to-day lives about this. What do we see in our day-to-day lives? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obviously gives us examples and parallels in our day-to-day understandings that we have got in Islam as well. Has anybody watched or is interested in all these major sports tournaments, gatherings and that, the Olympics every 4 years, right? Everyone reminds me, this is a leap year. Okay, what's a leap year? Does that mean we have to jump a lot higher than we usually do? There's not a leap year, something different. It means February has 29 days instead of, can't have 30, instead of 28. Okay, leap year, wow. And the Olympics are every 4 years, leap year comes every 4 years. Now, have you seen any of those athletes who take part in the Olympics? You guys have seen them? Those bodybuilders or those triathlon athletes or those swimmers or those runners or those marathoners, and you see them and you wonder, wow, they made it. Like out of the billions of people in the world, a handful of them made it to the Olympics, right? Now, if you were to ask any of those athletes, What have you been doing for these 4 years? The Olympics are in year X or Y. Now, you had 4 years since the last Olympics. What were you doing? Were you sitting back, relaxing, and just, taking it easy and chilling for those 4 years? What are you going to say? Is that true? Is that what they're going to do? Thank you. Definitely. My sisters are acknowledging, and I think you're the only one who's awake right now. No, they're going to say, of course not. You have to prepare. And the more you prepare, the more you put your dedication and your endurance, and you make sure you develop your agility, you develop your endurance, you develop your skills. The more you do that, the better you will become at the end of those 4 years when the Olympics come. So the training, the whole procedure, you'll have a coach, you'll have a trainer, you'll be going to the gym, you'll be doing things on your own, you have a lot of stamina, you will have a lot of things. And remember one thing, the gold medal will only go to how many people? One person. One of them might get a silver, one will get the bronze, and that's it. So out of the billions of people on the earth, a few hundred or a few thousand might be in the Olympics. From those few thousand in each of those sports, in each of those, the tournaments, one person will win the gold. And each of those athletes want to be the one that will reach the gold, right? Now, those endurance, that workout, that preparation is what Islam is reminding us. Because you know something? Not everybody can make it to the gold, but even to get to the Olympics is an honor. Even to qualify is an honor. Even to be selected from your own home country is still an honor. So there is what we call a reachability, an ability to reach that greatness. Even if you don't win the gold, forget about that for a moment. The sight, the vision, the goal is on the gold. But not everybody can, but that's not going to be the be-all and end-all. So if somebody doesn't win gold, are they going to say, well, next Olympics, 4 years from now, I'm not going to bother? If they're still young, if they're still determined, they're still going to try. You understand? They're still going to try their best. And so what it means is that what today's discussion is going to be about is that in each of those examples, we see that the training and the preparation is just as important as the eventual qualification for the Olympics, qualification for your home country team. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us that the month of Ramadan al-Sharif is like, if you want to think of it as the Olympics. It's like we want to go for the gold. We want to go for the highest level. We want to go and do the best we can. And that is basically the Olympics. We have to qualify. We have to prepare. And the qualification, the preparation is the month of Rajab and the month of Sha'ban. In the month of Ramadan, we are told to fast the whole month. Every day from Subh Sadiq up until Maghrib. We are told to do as much Quran recitation as we can. We are told to do as much tasbihat as we can. We are told to do as much dhikr as we can. As many salah as we can. We can do salatul layl, the night prayers, whatever we can. But what happens is that all of a sudden, if the month of Ramadan would have come and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have told us, okay, go, do this. It would have been very challenging and difficult for anybody to do all of that all of a sudden. So what Allah ta'ala does is He prepares us from before. And the month of Rajab and Sha'ban, we are told, okay, a little extra dua. If you can fast 3 days in the month of Rajab, the 13th, 14th, and 15th, 27, 28, 29, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, whatever you can do, a little bit. In the month of Sha'ban, we are told to do a little extra. There are various munajat Sha'baniyah that, Imam Khomeini, Allah Maqam, had emphasized on numerous occasions. These du'as that I was talking about in the month of Rajab, all of these are now preparing us for the ultimate month of Ramadan Sharif, whereby this is like our Olympics, our spiritual Olympics. And getting ourselves ready, getting ourselves, aiming for the gold. Our vision has to be there. We have to aim really high. We may not reach where we want to, but the aim is there. One time, one of the greatest scholars in the Shia faith, his name is Allama Hilli. Allama Hilli, who is actually buried in Najaf Ashraf, in the precincts of Amirul Mu'mineen's Haram. Allama Hilli was one of the greatest Maraja, one of the most genius individuals of his era, and his examples are still there. His teachings are still taught till today in the Hawza Ilmiya, in the Islamic seminaries and what have you. And he was like the sole marja'i taqleed in his era. One of the most brilliant minds of his time and generations before and after him. Nobody could even compare to him. And he was so dynamic. One day he has a conversation with his son. He asks his son, what is your goal? Who is your mentor? Where do you want to be? Who is your role model? What do you want to be like? Who do you want to be like? Imagine that question that we have probably thought about, and maybe somebody might have actually asked us that, who is your role model? Who do you want to be like? Where do you see yourself in the next little while in your lifetime? And the son rightly replies, he says, Baba, I want to be just like you. My goal, my role model, you are the one. I want to be just like you. Allama Hilli says, something? Okay. Your goal is me, you're going to reach here. Your goal is myself, you will reach a couple of steps below that. So the son was a bit perplexed. He was a bit confused. He says, so father, what was your goal? What were you aiming for when you began your Islamic studies and when you were going through these stages? Who was your goal? He says, Imam Sahibul Amr Ajjallah Ta'ala Dhukur was my goal. I want him to be my role model. I want to reach to that level. He says, that's why I reached to this level. You see, you aim for the stars, you might get the clouds. You aim for the sun, you might get the planets. But you have to aim high when it comes to spirituality. Not when it comes, sadly, a lot of people aim high for their dunyavi things. I have to have this car. I have to have a Bugatti. I've got to have, every Nike and every Reebok and, every Puma outfit that I can possibly get. And sadly, sometimes, I'm not talking about any of you guys. I'm sure this is not you. I'm talking about people in my thought level. They want that and they want this. And their aims are these worldly things, these dunyavi things. And they forget their spirituality. Islam has reminded us, aim as high as you can for your spirituality. That's why Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam has been quoted as saying, when it comes to your spiritual status, when it comes to your goals for the akhirah, look at those who are higher than you. Aim for that. When it comes to your dunya, when it comes to your worldly issues, look at those who are below you. When you want to drive that really expensive car, look at somebody who's riding a bicycle. When you want a mansion with 22 rooms, look at somebody who doesn't even have a home, who might be living in a straw shed. Look at them. So when it comes to our akhirah, aim and look at those who are higher than us and try to strive towards that level. When it comes to our world, look at those who are below us so that we don't become materialistic and we don't only think about what's happening in this dunya and what's happening in this from this worldly point of view. So the month of Rajab now is preparing us for that journey towards the month of Ramadan al-Sharif. And then we look at how our own thought processes need to be now amended and started out towards the way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How beautifully Allah ta'ala made these opportunities whereby our deeds, our good deeds, multiply. They multiply. There are some riwayah, some hadith that say 7 times, 70 times, 700 times, 7,000 times. And some hadith mention بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ, that means there's no count, there's no way of putting a tally on how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has opened up His treasures to. The month of Ramadan, we are told that the treasures of Allah ta'ala are open. Take whatever you want. The treasures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are open. Take whatever you want. If you have time, you can take lots and lots. If you don't have time, you only do a little bit of ibadat, no problem. You've got a few gold bars, you've got a few silver bars, the spiritually silver bars. But take something because Allah has opened it up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has opened up His treasures now. And whoever's got the time, whoever's able to, whoever has got that determination, that dedication, and that vision and the foresight, they will benefit the most. That's why there is a hadith of the Holy Prophet that truly unfortunate, woe is the one who does not take the blessings of the month of Ramadan that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has opened up for us. So you can see that the life of Imam Al-Baqir alayhi salam is a time whereby the Imam taught knowledge. And knowledge is something that is that key towards getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if you don't have knowledge, then you won't be able to understand and appreciate that. And that is why the word Baqir means somebody who not only, you think of a stream, and each of the stream has different branches. That's what Baqir means. Each of those branches, that the whole knowledge was Imam Baqir alayhi salam and the Ahlul Bayt, and then Imam made streams going out, each one of them. And that's why you find that between him and Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq, they taught over 4,000 subjects to thousands of students, and so many of them went on to write their own treatises, they went on to write their own books, and they went on to go and invent innovative things in the medical field, in the astronomical field, in the mathematical field, in the human development, in the human medical field. You can see so many writings. There's a very beautiful booklet written by a group of European scientists. The book is called The Great Philosopher, the Great Scientist, Ja'far ibn Muhammad. If you actually go on Google, you can find it, and you can, I believe you can also download it for free. And these non-Muslims have looked at the writings primarily of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, but also, Imam Muhammad Baqir as well. And they've taken a look at the theories and the dynamics of the scientific discoveries that Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq taught to his students, who then went on in the fields of chemistry and all kinds of sciences to become supreme leaders in those fields. And each one of those students dedicated their works back to Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq or Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam. And so it's a time for us to, inshallah, appreciate and revisit ourselves, our history, and what we have got from the Ahlul Bayt, and inshallah use that to make ourselves better, and also use that for the sake of humanity, for the sake of the betterment of the community and the betterment of our ummah. The ummah is facing a number of challenges. And when we look at the practicality of Islam, Islam gave us a lot of responses to those challenges. One of the things that happened in the time of Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam was that what was happening in the Muslim world, now remember, this is almost 50, 60 years after the demise of the Holy Prophet. And so the currency that the Arabic world was really using, the Arabian world, the currency that we're using was actually the Roman currency. Now, I want you to understand a lot of that, of what we are facing today as a global ummah. Okay? So they were using the coins, they were using the currency, they were using the money that was the Roman currency. So what the emperor of Rome decided to do, whoever was in the finance ministry, the finance department, they decided that, well, since the Muslims are using our currency anyways, whatever we write on the coins, it's our call. So what they did was they started writing insulting or derogatory things about Rasulullah, about Islam. Some have said even about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever it was. But we know that for the Holy Prophet, they wrote derogatory things about that. And so the Khalifa of the time comes to Imam Muhammad Baqir, and he asks the Imam, he says, look at this, they're insulting us, we're using their currency, and we have no option, what do we do? The Imam at that time then gave them a suggestion, that it's time that you designed and developed your own currency, your own negotiable instrument in using for trade and for buying and selling goods. So in the time of Imam Baqir, the Muslim world actually ended up developing its own currency, and many of these coins are available in various museums, and that was one of the gifts that Imam Muhammad Baqir did. And this is something that the Ummah needs to understand even today, that we are bound by other powers whose dollars or euros or yen or pounds that we use, because we don't have our own currency. And this is something that we need to revisit back to the time of Imam Muhammad Baqir and see how the Imam made the people free so that they were not bound by the dictates of the powers of the day, and they were independent, and they were able to determine their own economic future, their own economic destiny, because economic destiny eventually means your own political and spiritual destiny. When you're not bound, when you're not always hungry, when you're not always going to beg somebody else for your needs, you become stronger, and that's something that Islam has encouraged. If you look at the Holy Quran, repeatedly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةِ أَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةِ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةِ. Give zakat. in order for you to give zakat, you have to have zakat, have to have extra money, right? In order to pay khums, you have to have extra money to be able to pay the khums. I'm sure you will not find, and I've researched the Quran over and over, any place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, take zakat, take khums, take charity. It always talks about giving, because Islam's goal is to make us independent and to make us free. And so I think I will, inshallah, leave it at that. It's a blessed month, and I want, if you have any questions, I can take a few minutes to answer your questions, inshallah. Otherwise, you will be free to go then. I can release you and give you your freedom from this night, inshallah, okay? Once again, thank you for your patience in my delay today. I want to sincerely appreciate and thank you and Brother Ahmad and the organizers for that. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask it now. Maybe with one salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, we'll close this part of the program. Brother, you had your hand up.
Yes, so if a person is learning how to pray, would they be able to have like a earpiece so they can listen to what they need to say in the salah?
Absolutely, and actually that is something that is strongly encouraged. There are two, when somebody is learning to pray, when somebody has maybe become a Muslim or somebody maybe didn't pray before and they realize, oh, this is the importance of praying. They can keep an earpiece, they can keep a paper, they can keep a book or any other guide for them. And the second thing is to, as much as possible, join in Jama'at prayers as well, so that they can, again, listen as well as follow along, and then the right parts that they have to recite, they can use a paper or an earpiece and listen to the prayers. But that's excellent point that you made. Thank you so much for that. Jazakallah khair. Yes, please.
So I heard something about Nabi Muhammad saying, on the first night of the month of Rajab, if you make any dua, it will be answered 100%.
Inshallah, we are told that not only in the month of Rajab, but in any beginning month any month that starts, and we see the tiny crescent moon, or we find out that it is the month of Rajab, the month of Sha'ban, a dua that you have, yes, and Allah knows best what is there for us, because whenever we make a request, a dua from Allah, there is a special thawab written for us. So if, let's say, for example, you need or you want something, and it doesn't get accepted right away, there's still a thawab that is given for you. So always make sure that you do ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it is good for you, Allah will give it to you right away. If it's not good for you, Allah will wait for a little while. When it's good for you, He'll give it. And if it's something that is not meant for you, you'll still get the thawab, the reward from Allah. But that actual thing might not be given to you right away, or might not be given to you because it's not good for you. So a lot of times we don't understand what's best for us, but the important thing is to ask. Thank you for that question. I'm going to see if the sisters have one before I come to you. If they are going to be shy, then I'll come to you. My dear sisters, do you have any question or anything that you want to ask? In case if I miss somebody, please forgive me, as I may or may not be able to see very clearly. So, okay, sir. Yes.
So there's a hadith by Amir al-Mu'mineen. I don't know if I'm going to get it correct because I read it in English.
Okay.
But it was him pretty much saying, live in this world like you're going to live forever.
Yes.
But live for the akhirah as if you'll die right now.
Absolutely.
Doesn't that contradict about the story you said about the philosopher having no furniture in his house?
No, because you see, Imam, or the hadith mentions live for the dunya as if you're going to live forever, and live for the akhirah as if you're going to die today or tomorrow. I just don't remember the exact wording of the hadith. No, because that means live for the dunya, for the world. Don't be in a hurry. Don't try and acquire as much as you can. Don't worry about having this, and this. That's what that hadith means, and that's what the philosopher was saying. That, I don't have too many things because, you see, for everything that we have, there's an accountability. I often give an example to the students. I said, imagine when you're coming from a trip, when you're coming from, you guys are on a border city, right? You're coming into Windsor from Detroit. Or you came back from Hajj or Umrah or from Ziyarah or something, or from a visit. You went to Lebanon, you went to Iraq, and you came back. And imagine, and it's happened to me many times. Sometimes, I've had carpets or I've had things. So I've had 3 suitcases. As soon as I'm going through customs, oh, are you traveling with anybody? No. 3 suitcases, go inside. And then they end up opening up my stuff. Why do you have these carpets? Why do you have these turbas? Why do you have these tasbihs? Why do you have that? You have to give an account. It's not that you're not allowed to bring it in. But if I come with just a handbag and I'm going through customs, oh yeah, go ahead. That means that the more you have, the more accountability we have. The more we have, the more answerability. It's not haram. We're not committing any sins. But the less we have, the easier the path to the akhirah will be. So when the Imam says, live for the dunya as if you're going to live forever, don't be in a hurry. Just relax. Take it easy. Whatever you want to get, don't be in a hurry to get it. But when it comes to the akhirah, try to do as many good deeds as you can, because you don't know if you're going to live today or tomorrow. You don't know when you're going to go. So try to do as many good deeds as you can, because you may not get the chance again. So I hope that was clear. Okay. Sister side, anything from you before I answer our brothers? Hand up? No? Okay. Okay, the gentleman behind.
Okay, so I do want to know if getting curls is haram because it's a mimic of what women do.
Getting?
Curls.
Curls. Well, there's the hadith mentions very clearly that, the boys who try to imitate girls and vice versa. There's a lot of things said about that. Just having curls or just having long hair or just doing things that may be perceived or construed as something that the opposite gender does in itself does not make it haram. What is the intention? What is the philosophy? Some people might just have natural curls. Some people want to use those curlers to put the curls on. Each thing is different. And I had a few very interesting conversations with Sheikh Naeem about that. And I think that if you want further clarification, it might be good to speak to him or Sheikh Hammam about that. That will probably be a little more realistic as to what the situation and every individual's intention behind that is, because all of these things play a role in what you're doing. If I'm doing something that's why Islam reminds us of what is amilus salihat, what's happening and what was the purpose of that deed. It's not as simple as just saying, yes, this is haram or this is halal. It's a matter of what is the reason behind it, why am I doing it, and what is the foundation for that. So that is all playing a role in reaching whether that is acceptable or not. Before I go to you, I'll see if the sisters have anything. I hope I haven't scared you or anything. I'm always afraid of that. I'm always scared of scaring others. Yes, brother, please.
So, based off the hadith and what the Sheikh say online, at least what I've heard, they say Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, he sees all what the Shia do and hear all what they do. Isn't that attributing something that God has? Like Allah sees everything and all, and then Imam Mahdi also has that. And Ahlul Sunnah, they come and tell us,
yes.
Okay, if this is the case, you're doing shirk, you're putting him
right
up there.
Yes. One thing to remember is when we have hadith similar to that, we have to understand what is the source of the Imam's knowledge. Where does the Imam get it from? It's not the Imam himself has got that he's getting it from nowhere. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate resort to everything that we have. So if Imam has certain knowledge, which if you look at the Quran, Allah ta'ala talks about the knowledge that a bee has got. وَإِلَىٰ نَحَلٍ أَوْهَى إِلَىٰ نَحَلٍ. That Allah ta'ala gives a wahi to a bee, to the honeybee. So for example, what we find that Allah Ta'ala becomes the source of all the knowledge, whether the Prophet had it, whether any other Prophet had it, whether the Prophet had ilm ghaib, whether the Prophet had ilm am, ilm khas, whatever. So ultimately, all that knowledge comes from Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. So there's no issue of shirk. Allah can give that knowledge to whomsoever He wants. Allah Ta'ala, we have been told that Imam Mahdi gets that report about the Shias. He gets, I joke with some of the students, he gets like a printout. I don't want to say a WhatsApp message or a Telegram message or Instagram. Okay, these are what the Shia have done. So, he's knowing what his followers are doing. And he's keeping that track of his followers because they are his followers. He is the Imam. Imam means leader. Leader has to have followers. And so the Imam having that is actually keeping us in guard and keeping us in check that, okay, you know what? We have to be careful how we are living, how we're acting, what we're saying, what we're doing. And so the Imam is the hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you're not doing shirk in any way, shape or form whatsoever. We are trusting the hujjah of Allah to represent Allah on this earth. And that's why Allah Ta'ala, when the issue of Hazrat Adam, Allah the angels taught Adam the asma, the names. Well, why did the angels teach him? Why didn't Allah himself directly teach Adam? You see? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they basically imparts and delegates those responsibilities as He wishes, and He is inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so let's just say, for example, I want to, marry a woman, right?
Uh-huh.
But the thing is, I'm supposed to talk to the father figure. But what if she doesn't have a father figure or anybody for me to speak to?
Well, what we find in the traditional Islamic etiquette, because there's a certain etiquette that neither gender approaches the other gender directly. I mean, nowadays people do that, so it's not. I don't want to generalize on one way or the other. But you have to keep in mind that there's a certain etiquette, akhlaq that we talk about. And so even if, for example, there's no father or there's no brother, there may be somebody that might be in her family that might be an elder. If there isn't, then somebody from your family can go speak to her or her mother or somebody there. That would be done in a like I said, a way that doesn't create communal gossip and what have you, and at the same time is done respectfully, so that it's not that you're just going to approach an individual directly, but rather doing it from a respectful point of view, because marriage is a very sacred institution. It's a very loved institution by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so how we get to it is very important as well. Thank you. Young man there, please. Yes.
There's also this other hadith that I read that Muhammad said. He said that what's it called? Like trinkets or other things like that, related to Islam, those are considered shirk. So I want to ask, so does that mean the evil eye or the hand of Fatima Zahra is considered shirk to have?
I saw some of those messages recently as well. And one thing to keep in mind, and that's what I was answering before as well, the intention, the niyyah makes a big difference, okay? We have got du'as, we have got the hand or the alam or the various aspects of prayers and supplications that we have got, that all Muslims have got. Just the wording might be different, the meanings and the source might be different. But Allah Ta'ala Himself has said that, seek help, use the surahs of the Holy Quran, use the prayers and supplications that the Prophet taught us, use what we call the wasila, the intermediary to getting towards Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And there are numerous verses of the Holy Quran and the statements of Rasulullah that remind us and point us in that direction. So there's no shirk that we're doing on that way. If we were to say that, okay, this individual has got the absolute authority, sometimes the non-Muslims do this on Devil's Night or Halloween. Oh, that one night the devil has all the power. That is shirk. Not asking Allah through Imam Mahdi or Rasulullah or Amirul Mu'mineen by saying Ya Ali. The Prophet himself has been quoted as saying that. And if the Prophet did anything na'udhu billah wrong, the Quran says وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيُ يُوحَىٰ. The Prophet does not utter anything unless Allah Ta'ala has approved it, has allowed it. I will need to take, yes, last question. Sorry? I think you would be better to ask that question from one of the local scholars here rather than me coming and saying this is haram or halal. We have a general rule that nothing becomes haram unless there are certain aspects of it that have caused us to be so engrossed and entwined in it that we don't do or pay attention to anything else. So if your resident scholars, Sheikh Sharara or Sheikh Naim or Sheikh Hamam have given you some other answer, I don't want to be the one to be bypassing or overruling those. Were you going to add something to what?
No, I know it's a really old question, but is Clash of Clans actually a haram?
Is?
Clash of Clans, the mobile game.
I cannot comment on it because I just don't know it. So you have to forgive me for that. I don't want to speak about something that I don't know. If you have time and you can explain it to me, maybe I'll make a statement. But like I said, I think your local scholars might be able to answer that better than I will. Yes.
As of my minimal research, I couldn't find any hadith or any Quranic verse saying a woman can touch a man or a man can touch a woman. or vice versa.
Okay.
So where could this like be found, or the idea be found?
With the forbiddance of touching each other?
Yeah.
Well, this is something that you see, the Quran gives us basically a guideline. And that's why the Quran says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. That if you don't know something, if you need a specific answer, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ. Ask the people of remembrance, ask the people of knowledge. And so that is why we refer to whether it's the Prophet and the Aimma in their lifetime, or the ulama and the maraja in the occultation of the Imam. So that's where you would get that from. Yes.
Is playing too much video games in Ramadan haram?
Playing too much video games at any time, not just in the month of Ramadan,